You're listening to The Litter Box, a Detroit Tigers podcast, with your hosts, Chet West and Bill Patterson. Here's what's on deck for this episode.
Torres seems, and I'm asking you this, it seems like he feels like he's done enough to get the next contract.
I mean, bullpen guys, here today, gone tomorrow. I mean, you don't know what you're getting.
Because he's back at Irma's place, one of the greatest restaurants in the United States.
Maybe the change of scenery isn't what Chris Paddock needed. Welcome back to the Litter Box, the Detroit Tigers podcast. On this mic, I am Chet. On the other mic, I have Bill, your co-hosts. Bill, I am happy with getting 3 out of 4. Game 4 isn't over yet with the Twins, but I'm pretty sure that I feel okay going on the road in a 4-game set, grabbing 3 wins. It wasn't always pretty. Win number 3, yesterday's game in Game 3 was like watching your drunk friend traverse the general admission at a outdoor concert or something. It was ugly, falling all over the place yesterday, but we ended up getting the win, which is what good teams do against bad teams. Today, not so great. First 2 games, we had a great game. We had a close one that went long. What are your general thoughts at this point, eyeballing an important series coming up this week against the Astros?
We saw exactly what I was hoping to see the last week from the Tigers. And here is where I'm gaining perspective on this. Not only did they go to Minnesota and win on Thursday 4-3, and then shut the Twins out Friday 7-0 in those garish outfits. Yeah. They're not even uniforms. We'll talk about that in a minute. Won yesterday 8-5. Today doesn't look great, but before that, they took 2 of 3 against the White Sox. And before that, they took 2 out of 3 against the Angels. So if we go back to the first week of August when they only won 1, which was still considered good in Philadelphia, and then came home and only won 1 out of 3 against the Twins, I don't want to say it's a 180, but I will say it's about as close to. And this team seems to be clicking as well as possible before this home series against the Houston Astros upcoming at Comerica tomorrow through Wednesday. And then they've got the Royals, Athletics, and Royals, and that closes the month.
Yeah,
I feel good about everything. I mean, I still don't like what happened at the trade deadline, and I know that's on the tip of your mind as well. I will say this, thank God for Dylan Dingler, because if he weren't showing like he's showing, things would really get ugly. I will give a 2nd star to our good friend Javier Baez. Not so much for what he's doing at the plate, but what he's doing playing shortstop and center field, because the Tigers seemingly don't have anybody outside of Trey Sweeney to do one of those two. And Trey Sweeney cannot get out of this organization quickly enough, in my opinion. 3rd star, I guess the combined 2-headed monster of Will Vest and Kyle Finnegan. Outside of that, this team is still pretty lifeless. Torres seems, and I'm asking you this, it seems like he feels like he's done enough to get the next contract, or...
Where would you have got that from? Maybe my thoughts earlier this week and a little text string?
Well, that's why...
I agree. I mean, how I feel about that. I think he's laying it down a little bit. Like, I think he's kind of... I don't know what happened to him, but his patience is gone. He seems like he's playing the infield at 3/4 speed. So, but it's kind of seemed that way all season. He's just not a fast man anymore.
I also think he plays at the same speed Sweeney does, which Sweeney is not a big league shortstop. It's driven me crazy, or drove me crazy, however you want to phrase it. All season, how slow. It's almost like he backs up on balls like a little leaguer. Every throw he makes is like a 50-50, whether the guy's safe or out. And there's no way the Tigers were ever going to fleece the Dodgers. Nobody fleeces the Dodgers. And so I think we got a good piece in the Jack Flaherty deal. I think we also got a very, very bad piece. And I think the bad piece is Trey Sweeney.
There's a lot of teams right now who have Jack Flaherty's on their roster, who would love to have traded Jack Flaherty's. We took one off of the Twins' hands in Chris Paddock. We gave very little up for it, but Paddock has been nothing short of a disaster. And a lot of those teams, what they end up doing in a guy's final year, if they can't trade a guy like that at the deadline, they just let him go and hope somebody picks the contract up. And if that doesn't happen, if they put him on waivers and nobody picks up the contract, then they just drop him. They just, he's gone. And then a team can pick him up for the minimum. The other team's responsible for the money. I don't know 100% if Chris Paddock is going to get it back or not. I mean, we looked at a guy by the name of Matthew Boyd a few years back and thought he'd never get it back. And he's now like a practically staff ace for the Cubs this season outside of Shota. So these guys can come back. They can find it eventually. They're veterans for a reason, and it's usually because they'll make the adjustments to stay successful. But you can look across the free agent landscape. There's a lot of deals that aren't panning out right now. I just don't know that I want to see Chris Paddock this season pitching anymore. He has been absolutely rolled by his former team twice now in both outings. Now, maybe they got the intel on him. I don't care if he was effective. I think he'd be able to get by him. In regard to the rest of the team, Trey Sweeney, he's still young. I just don't think he's a major league ball player yet. He doesn't have it yet. I think he needs a lot more. He needs to figure it out. And I think he got maybe rushed a titch. Maybe it was kind of one of those things where the Tigers like, hey, we got this guy in this trade. We flipped him. Let's see what we got towards the end of last season. And he showed up. He showed some skill. I mean, he went 2 for 4 yesterday at a nice little game. And came up pretty big in some situations late in an ugly game. But I'm willing to give him more time. I don't need to rush him out of the organization. We have spots in third, and AAA, and that he can play for a little while. He's probably just going to be an org guy from here on out.
The problem is what's coming up behind him. The strength
it's going to bump him right out of there.
Shortstop.
You just sit him down in AAA and use him as an injury,
I'm not saying DFA him or anything like that. There's no point.
But the fact that he's up there playing now bothers you, which is when we're in crunch time, and I get that. I'm on board with that too.
Okay, I think the sample size is I've seen enough. You've seen enough. We've all seen enough. He doesn't need to
be in there now. Yeah.
And this again comes back to dumpster diving on free agency.
Yeah. I will say though, the free agent market, it's not looking that pretty now. It's not unfolding.
Meaning that what exactly?
Like these guys that got signed. I mean, Eugenio Suarez, take a look at him. You know what he's done this August since the Mariners went out and made the big splash to grab him? He's batting 135.
A big bag of nothing. You know why?
A huge bag of nothing.
Because he went from a controlled environment to a pitcher's park that is notorious, even though he played there before, but I could have forewarned the Mariners on this.
He's still Eugenio Suarez. This isn't Juan Soto. Eugenio Suarez wouldn't be a journeyman third baseman if he was better.
That might have been a bad comparison because Juan Soto's actually
not doing great right now either.
He's more Eugenio Suarez than he is Juan Soto.
Sure, but the abnormal result for Juan Soto is to be Eugenio Suarez. The normal result for Eugenio Suarez is not to perform like the good Juan Soto. He's a middling player at best, okay? And everybody treats him like they're getting Aaron Judge or something in a trade. Give up the farm for the guy. If we had traded one of our top 5 for this guy, and he did what he's doing now, the fan base would be up in arms. Be like, oh, this was the dumbest thing they could have done. And you know what? When it happened, everybody would have applauded, but the aftermath would have not have been pretty. Another guy, Ryan Helsey, probably the second or third best closer in the second or third best reliever at the trade deadline.
It goes Mason Miller, number 1. Yep. Helsey 2, Finnegan probably 3.
Well, John Duran's in there too. You're forgetting about Duran from the Twins.
But you know that Finnegan was higher on my list than the other guys.
He was higher on your list, but overall consensus, I'm sure it was something like Miller, Duran, and Helsey. You could flip-flop Helsey and Duran probably. Anyways, Ryan Helsey's been a disaster. He's blown 3 straight saves. In the month of August, Helsey is 0-3. This is a closer. ERA of 8.44. He has 7 strikeouts in 7 appearances. The guy cannot get anybody out. He's got 3 blown saves and another game where he gave up a couple runs. I don't think he blew a save, but it's been a nightmare over there. And the Mets, you can talk about the Tigers having trouble and struggling. There's a lot of teams that were at the top of their division, that were, in the top 4 or 5 in the power rankings, that are now absolutely struggling. The Dodgers can't seem to get their feet under them, having an awful August. Mets, awful August, terrible August right now. Tigers were, but have bounced back nicely in the last 2 weeks against subpar competition, but that's what you got to do. So, not everybody's the Brewers. The Brewers are on some magical carpet ride right now that I can't even explain. They have a ton of young talent, but I have no clue how they're making it work right now. They are winning games that they shouldn't win. I mean, they've won 10 in a row twice now, or 10 in a row plus twice now. So
it's 14, and they just are in an extra innings game right now.
Yeah, there you go. I mean,
so it could be 15.
But my point being, the trade deadline deal with these guys that are going to be free agents that are ending their contract, this is a complete and total crapshoot. These, especially with bullpens. I mean, bullpen guys, here today, gone tomorrow. I mean, you don't know what you're getting with a bullpen guy. It's just way too inconsistent. And you don't know what you're getting with a middling player like Eugenio Suarez. Just way too inconsistent results. And like you said, it could be the environment. How much does the environment dictate how well these guys do?
So on that, I've got a couple questions for you. Great rant, by the way. I give you like a A-.
Like an A-. You didn't like how I didn't get it going when you wanted me to, but
no,
I get it. I was trying to give us some time to get through the game before I ranted, but I think we said all we wanted to about the Twins series at this point. Unless you want to touch on anything else.
Take a breath, buddy.
I'm taking a breath.
All I was going to say is, what do we think Ryan Helsey misses most about St. Louis? Is it his wife, his family, the free Budweiser and Bud Light he gets everywhere he goes?
Well, the happiness of these players has something to do with it, Bill.
I think it's the toasted ravioli, personally.
You want to look at a different free agency situation? Look at Carlos Correa.
Okay.
Look what he's done since he got up to Houston.
You know
we
why?
talked about it in the last pod.
Because
he's happy as a clam.
Because he's back at Irma's Place, one of the greatest restaurants in the United States.
Back at Irma's Place. You and your food, you found, look, whatever it is, he's happy playing where he is again. And lo and behold, he looks like Carlos Correa from 2019 or whatever. I don't remember the last time he was that great, but he looks good.
So initially, we were really hard on Scott Harris and company for not doing what we deemed enough at this deadline. And what we called, and many others, I mean, trust us, we were, meaning you and I, listeners, we weren't unique in this, dumpster diving. The Tigers really...
No, I mean, it was what it was.
Hold on. The point is...
Whether it was smart or not is a whole different thing.
Well, I gave, what did we give at the time? Like a B- C+ on it?
I think it was like a B- C+ because we got Finnegan.
And
he's turned out to be great.
I would say it's closer to a B+ at this point, only for Finnegan. And the fact that any quality start they get out of Morton and any quality start they get out of Paddock is a bonus at this point, because the Tigers are still getting used to this brave new world that we look at in Major League Baseball, that you can go into a season like they did with 7 starting pitchers in theory, okay?
Yeah.
I'm bringing back a couple. I'm talking about Montero. I'm talking about Maeda. I'm also talking about Alex Cobb, that apparently he's still getting hip injections, which
$15 million for the season.
God, how did we sign up for that job?
We paid him $15 million to get about $1 million worth of hip injections.
I'm sure Lloyd's of London is
there's definitely
underwriting that for the yeah. But anyway, my point with all this is I give Scott Harris a higher grade now coming out of it. Only team that I still applaud that went in guns blazing because they had to, I think if they were going to win the division, is the Padres.
Well, and look where they are right now. They're taking over first place in the NL West. I think it's the first time they've been in first place in the NL West this late in the season since 2010.
Awesome.
I heard that the other day. That's crazy. So that paid off. You either gamble big and you go big, or you don't, you don't want to just tickle it at the trade deadline. You want to go big.
And I still think with the work stoppage, I mean, I'm putting this like the Tigers playoff odds at this point because I'm on Prospectus right now and we're hovering around 99% right now just to make the playoffs, which is great. So are the Padres. And I have a feeling that, as we've documented and talked about before, work stoppage is inevitable, possibly in, going into 2027. And the Padres might have done themselves a good service or putting all the chips on the table, pushing it all in and anteing up. And here's why, Chet. The Dodgers are going to come out of whatever work stoppage happens or whatever labor dispute happens.
Yeah.
Dodgers are going to be just fine. Padres ownership's infighting. There's some shares being sold. There's percentages trading, where the Tigers are in a different landscape than that of the San Diego Padres. Let's just talk about the division right now where it sits currently. Okay. And I know you share my thoughts on this, and so that's why I can't wait for your comments. But you've got the Twins that were for sale. Now they're not for sale, but they're selling.
Well, they got what they wanted. They sold the pieces off to get a little financial help there.
Oh, like the Pullheads needed the money. So
no, I think they just wanted to divest a little.
Okay, well, they're still drawing the worst they've drawn since Target Field opened, which is.
And they say they wanted a new, fresh perspective.
Yes. Okay. The Guardians are also drawing very poorly, despite the fact that they won the division last year and have been the dominant team. I mean, think about this. We're marveling over the Brewers winning 14 straight. They did lose today in extra innings to the Reds. Yeah. The last team to go on this type of hot streak was the 2017 Indians at that time, but Guardians now. They don't spend money. They develop from within. The Royals, we don't know really what's going on until they get their new stadium or don't get their new stadium. And the White Sox are, I would say, at least 2, possibly 3 seasons away from being a real threat to anybody else that I mentioned in the division.
I'm going to go
So
with
the
2,
Tigers and Scott Harris were pretty smart to stay the course. Let's say the labor dispute ends quickly, which awesome. I mean, you and I are going to not have a lot to talk about as podcast hosts.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah. Wow. You know, the Tigers have a chance, and it's never happened in my lifetime, and you're the same age as I am, so it's never happened in your lifetime, to actually look at this division and possibly run away with it for the next 6, 8, 10 years if the chips fall their way, prospects develop, and go forward. And that, Chet, is a more exciting proposition to me right now than being the Padres this year. I know I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth because 3 weeks ago I was barking to anybody, shouting from the rooftops, do more, do more. And here's my point. I think the long view could be the way to play on this.
That was long. So I got a rant. You got a rant. I'm going to agree with a lot of what you said, other than the fact that the wild card is kind of the whole CBA and what's going to happen with that. We don't know what's going to happen.
There's going to be if I'm a betting man, it's a salary cap.
A lot of our concerns are, well, we have this opportunity right now, but we really kind of lucked into the opportunity at this juncture. We never should have progressed to this stage as an organization as quickly as we did after Harris took over the reins. I thought it was going to be a 5-year rebuild for him. It's happened in 2. I mean,
yeah, but he inherited what was a 10-year rebuild.
True. That's true, because we were already rebuilding. When they signed him, it was like, oh, here comes another 5-year rebuild. But he's been able to do a lot more with a lot less in a short period of time. He's had some luck. He's had some guys come up and do pretty well. But in order to revamp our team to the degree we would have had to, I don't think the chips were out there to do it. I just don't think the impact players were out there at this trade deadline. And we talked about this. There were a lot of guys that were there that were a lot of what we already had. So I think he did good getting what he got. I mean, Chucky Morton out there winning another game the other night, better than nothing. Chris Paddock, well, sometimes you take a gamble and lose. Maybe the change of scenery isn't what Chris Paddock needed. Rafael Montero came in, closed out a game the other night in a close game. I was rather shocked that he was used in that situation, but what else did he have? I am going to say that we're in a decent spot to maybe get a series in the postseason. When I think about it, how would you roll a starting pitching staff out in the postseason from what you have to choose from right now? So what would your order be?
So that is a loaded question because there's one of 2 things that have to happen. If they're one of the 2 teams that get the bye,
okay,
it's a totally different scenario.
Okay.
Going into a longer series than a 3-game series. If you go into a 3-game series, you pray, and I mean you pray that you play a big market team, and here's why. It's going to give you more time to get Skubal out there twice.
Okay. All right.
That's my theory right
Okay.
there. Okay, so I would go Skubal 1, Mize 2, and then I use a whole lot of chaos in every available arm to the point of I'm pitching guys a third of an inning by a third of an inning. I use empty the
So
cannon.
you're not pitching Flaherty in the postseason. You're not pitching Melton in the postseason.
I'm pitching him in game.
You're not pitching Charlie Morton in the postseason.
Starting them? Hell no.
Starting him.
Sorry.
So
I know I've only, that's my second
Game 1 is
H-bomb.
Skubal.
Yeah.
Game 2 is going to be Mize. And then your chaos from there.
In a 3-game series, yes.
Okay.
If we
What
go,
about a 7-game?
then I would probably go more conventional and try Flaherty in the 3-hole there and then duplicate that again with the potential. It depends. I need to see the schedule, Chet, because I'm pitching at this point. If Scoobs is saying that he's, not interested in signing, but he's this warrior and competitor, great, show me. I'm going to pitch you on 3 days rest. And
this is where
because guess what?
Olsen getting hurt and Jackson Job getting
hurt
really come back to haunt us because I never saw Flaherty as a number 2. And
no,
I think a lot of people did, or maybe thought he was because he was getting paid like a 2.
He's paid like a 2, but outside of that, he is not a 2.
I think he's in all rotation, I think he's a 4. I would put Melton in before him, to be dead honest, and see if you can catch fire with him in the postseason. I'd like to see him in a few more starts, and I think we're gonna. But
well, hold on. That's a slippery slope, though, for the fact that the less at-bats that Melton shows, the better he could potentially be in the postseason.
You don't know when they're going to pick up on him. So,
an interesting subtext to this is, and this is just a little caveat, listeners, see if Melton pitches at all against the Red Sox and Yankees in the month of September, because those are 2 likely opponents that we are going to face outside of the Guardians. Outside of that, everybody else is National League or teams that will not qualify for the playoffs. So what would you do differently?
So you have nothing past 2 starters basically right now that you would trust outside of chaos.
So my frustration with Scott Harris is this. Here we are, the best team in baseball for the last year. And it's true. By record, they are the best team in baseball year over year. And we are in the exact same position we were 1 year ago. And we still have no starting pitching depth.
Yeah. And I'm just wondering, did he not go for it, or did he just figure Flaherty's it? Flaherty's good enough. He'll get us there. Maybe.
Well, gosh, I don't know, Chet. I mean, let's work we need our interns to work their magic and try to effort Scott. Get Scott Harris on the pod here, and we'll ask the man. We'll ask the man himself.
I don't know how you think he's going to be enough to get you over. I think they're counting on Reese Olson. They're counting on Jackson Job.
I agree.
They had a rotation. I would have much rather had them as backup options, but Reese, no. But Jackson Job, yeah, he was a little young coming out and thinking he was going to get a starting gig that he was going to hold all season long.
Sure.
Mize has been a nice surprise. If it wasn't for Casey Mize, I don't know where we'd be right now with our rotation. It wouldn't look good at all.
No, not at all. And the other thought on that is that going into the season is that Montero, Maeda, or Cobb should have been able to get you innings at some point. Like, you have to think all logic and statistical analysis, whatever, algorithm they ran said that they would get X amount of innings from those 3 individuals.
Yeah.
And they didn't get anything from those 3 individuals. Actually, Montero did yeoman's work. He's the one that I would give kudos to on this. And I hope he's on the 40-man, and I expect him to be. And I think we're going to see more chaos and just madness.
Okay.
Now, that's not my biggest concern in the playoffs,
so
actually. Can I tell you what my concern is?
You shot me a little message this past week. And if this is what I think you're going to talk about, it's how you feel about our lineup and AJ. Is that it? Or is that something different?
No, I don't really have questions with AJ, perhaps. He's doing the best he can with what he has.
Okay. All right. That was a little different than you gave me the other day, but all right.
One question is why they can't figure out a leadoff hitter and why he keeps messing with it, because...
Do you think we have one on this roster?
We do not. And that is where I'm coming to AJ's defense.
That's why he keeps messing with it.
I would do some real unconventional stuff at this point, meaning I would go back and look at, and I know the answer, it's Torres, and he only can bat second. He's a second baseman. The Torres signing is still the most befuddling thing. And I know we've gotten positive war out of him.
The first 2/3 of the season, you were so happy with him.
But he's kind of screwed up the season because he's delayed Colt Keith's development. He occupied that position. The Tigers got super lucky with Torque coming back to like what we thought Torque could be.
Yeah.
But if I had to bat somebody leadoff in this lineup, and you're going to cringe when you hear me say this, I think Dingler's the only guy that I trust at this point. And I don't know that that's the right thing to do either.
I'll tell you what I don't like, and they did it in a couple games in this series. The leadoff hitter is a problem because we just don't have one. I don't know how he solves that. It's musical chairs at that spot, it seems. Colt's kind of taken it, more or less, because he's probably got one of the better approaches on the team. But I can't stand that we are putting Kerry Carpenter and Riley Green back-to-back in this lineup at 3 and 4. It's two lefties back-to-back. It kind of creates a little bit of an issue. If they separated those guys and put Torque in the middle like he did today, then it makes it a little more difficult. And I've heard multiple people mention this. Nobody's happy about this situation.
No. And
it's a weird deal. Like it's just I don't know if he's trading the back-to-back lefty-lefty for the 3 and 4 spot in the lineup, and he doesn't want to put one of those guys at 5th, but put Torque in that cleanup spot in between the two of them. It works pretty well, I think, over the long haul. But he backs them up together, and it makes it a little easier on the other team with pitching matchups and so forth, especially since Kerry Carpenter is a totally different hitter against lefties.
Do you know what it smells like?
What's that?
1:50 a.m. before the 2 a.m. bars are about to close on a Saturday night. It smells like desperation.
Like desperation.
All right. I don't have a whole lot more on the Tigers other than this is going to be a pivotal series against the Astros. And I like the pitching matchups given how much we've,
I'll be curious to see how we do it, against their pitching. It will matter. Those matchups are going to matter.
Yeah.
Coming up in
so
this
we've
series.
got Flaherty, Scoobs, and Morton. The only way it would be better is if we had Mize in one of those positions and Flaherty not in any of those positions. That being said, it is what it is. We will see. We've previewed that for you, Tiger fans, and we appreciate each and every one of you listening. So thank you. Chet, any other final thoughts before we sign off?
We're going to clip it there. We will talk to you guys after the Astros series because I have a feeling this one might rile us up a little bit more. I don't know if we're going to be able to get 2 out of 3 from the Astros. And I'm sure we'll have some opinions after we play them. Everybody enjoy the start of your week. Go Tigers. All right. That's going to do it for this episode of The Litter Box, a Detroit Tigers podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're Bill and Chet. We'll be back soon with more Tigers talk. If you're enjoying the show, be sure to follow or subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And hey, if you got a minute, leave us a quick review. Till next time, go Tigers.